Dear friends, it's Anne Knight here. As you know, I once said, demand that the disinherited women of the nation be reintegrated into the rights enjoyed by the women of the Gauls, rights that were not denied to my Anglo-Saxon ancestors in 1515, if history is to be believed. Cast away this awful yoke of prejudice. When I said this, what I really mean is that we don't have to accept things the way they are. If we notice that something isn't fair or right, we can change it. I was talking about women's rights, but the same is true about racism and other sorts of discrimination. How do I know? Because things have changed. Throughout our own history and across the world, things always change. So why not guide that change and create the future that we want to see? I wrote this in 1847. Slavery, which I'd campaigned against for years, had been outlawed. But I became very worried about what was happening in France. In fact, the women of the nation I speak about are French women. In 1847, change was going in the wrong direction. Unfair new laws in France banned women's clubs and women's newspapers. Looking at my history books, I noted that the women of the Gauls, mentioned here, had more rights. The Gauls were the tribe that lived in France before the Romans came. Then I looked back into the history of England and my own Anglo-Saxon ancestors, mentioned here. They had rights and contributed to society too. There was no need for laws that discriminate against women to be created. They weren't needed in the past, so I argued they still weren't needed at all. My words were originally written in French and published in a French newspaper. But how about today? Did it help? Are girls and women allowed to write and have their words published? Does everyone get equal pay and respect?